well, the first pick going to be coming at you. So just finishing off the bands there, and FJ kind of decided to do the whole text co-casting here. Here's the Midas band, indeed. Yeah, we had Warby's, Parasite, Dr. Repulsor, and Midas coming out with the band. So Midas banned by SolC Club. That actually is a little interesting. Now, knowing that obviously they have the second pick, I mean, definitely could have been first pick by Team Who. That would not have been out of the question at all. So they decided it's best to just take it out as an option and instead leave the Magmus to be picked up. So Magmus first pick for Team Who. We'll see how SolC Club responds right here. But what do you think, though, about them banning Midas themselves, knowing that they don't have first pick?
Well, I don't know. Well, Gistman should at least be a guy who knows what kind of potential Midas has. So I guess it's sort of a respect band towards the hero having a lot of potential, maybe. I don't know. Magnus is at least a hero that I very much like as a first pick because he opens up so many possibilities. Mm-hmm. Like, there's pretty much nothing you can't do. You can't go wrong with the Magnus. And there's the Torture now, and Quincy actually bringing up that he only has a 40% win on Torture, which is surprising, to be honest, seeing as it's a strong hero.
Yeah, that is really
I wonder what
interesting.
What support hero has the highest win ratio?
It has
Rhapsody?
to be Moira.
Glacius?
No, Rhapsody dropped off a lot.
Has to be Moira.
I would think Moira, maybe even Andromeda wouldn't surprise me, honestly. She's been played every now and then. So Ophelia coming out for Team Who, so they're going to go with the Ophelia once again. They apparently like that jungle option. We'll see if SolC Club counters with that Cthulhu font or not. Coming out here. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, especially, in fact, this time around, if your team, if they don't pick it up, then I wouldn't be surprised if they ban Cthulhu font in the next year of bans. But they do go Prisoner, though. So a lot of similarities here coming out.
Game, huh?
Yeah.
This time, though, Dr. Repulsor is banned already.
True.
Bubbles against Prisoner. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, it's a good and bad, right? Because the take cover is good against Prisoner, but his shell surf's not good because of shackles, right?
Yeah, but you remember that? Like, I don't know. I don't think take cover is that easy to use to dodge the old ball and chain, because like it grabs in a lot of different frames. It's not just one frame that it grabs, and you can like disjoint that with the take cover. It's like several frames. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anyway, there's the Tempest now, and I love seeing Tempest being picked up here in these kind of games, because he seems like he's such a bomb in team fights, and he makes you have to approach team fights so differently with there's a Tempest involved.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to say I'm favoring a little bit the SolC lineup, but then again, there is the Magnus and there is the Ophelia. The highest win ratio has to be on the side of Legion right now. Mm-hmm. So it seems Quincy will bring the stats, and we definitely has the higher win ratio on the Legion side.
Well, Quincy pointing out right there, he asked the question about the support, and apparently Riftwalker is really high up there, but I'm pretty sure most of those games are in the hands of Ruta Z, and we know so that's kind of more of a niche pick, to be fair, and it's not like a lot of games. So, but Andromeda being at 60% on top of that, so yeah, there you go as far as that question being answered with the support options. Yeah, Rhapsody for the longest time was actually up there and just considered so strong, but she died off quite a bit as far as a go-to support, honestly. There's that Moira band, by the way. So that's going to be it.
Yeah.
What?
I think that's a wise decision.
Yeah, Moira is so ridiculous. And I'm sure very frustrating to face off against, let alone to play with as far as her power potential. So, Tempest. So why do you think they went a Tempest though instead of a Cthulhu font? Because again, we're talking about the last match, how it worked out pretty well, and it's a decent counter to Ophelia. But I'm not saying they went wrong here with Tempest, but what would be the logic?
Well, if your intention is to pick a hard carry, for instance, Tempest can kind of like if SolC decides to go ahead and pick a hard carry, they eliminate the possibility of Team Who doing exactly what SolC was doing. You know how just focusing one hero and that, like focusing Raveno over and over again. Mm-hmm. In this case, SolC has a Tempest who's kind of a wall to prevent that. Also, Tempest is naturally a great bomb against a pusher like Ophelia. Also eliminates the minions. It's not just a big stun. It's a stun that also hits the minions and can also hit Magnus when he's in steam bath and also the bubble. Like he's a wreckage here. You know, if is Flux banned right now?
No.
I want to say that Flux would be a great pick for SolC.
Yeah.
Flux could definitely be a huge pick here.
Well, Team Who's lining up like they could. I mean, they got some really good push now with that Rhapsody on top of the Ophelia. I would be interested. Wonder if they go with something like a freaking Soul Reaper here to try to complete that push-heavy lineup, and a lot of heal potential coming out. That'd be fun to see. But yeah, you see the Behemoth pick up, and I think that's a good pick there because of that reason. Figuring a somewhat of a push style makeup is kind of in the works here, so want to have some good stoppage to that.
Yeah, it's sort of like a preventive pick here. Like you can't go all push against the Behemoth. Well, you can, but it's a little bit more difficult because if the Behemoth gets the PK, well, then the game is just a lot more difficult to finish. And well, you know how Behemoth is like. He seems to get a lot of PKs really early these days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because of all the assist goals or it's because the Veil Rod just makes it so easy to gank and get assists, or I'm not really entirely sure. But you can pull the lane and you can like drag the lane back, which makes Behemoth get a lot more gold. But
yeah,
what the specific reason is for Behemoth picking up PK a lot earlier these days, I don't know.
Man, imagine if they can get the new Kayn here.
Option.
Against that Dark Lady.
Against the Dark Lady? Yeah.
Anti-carry, yeah. Man. That's going to be fun to see how that has a impact amongst competitors.
But then Rhapsody is there to drop that damage, though.
True.
And also there's a lot of stuns and silence as well. But it's a nice sword.
Yeah.
Alright, that's the Malikan.
Alright.
Interesting.
So this is going to be a suicide Behemoth here. That's what that looks like. We've been seeing that trickle in a little bit. In fact, you can block.
You know what makes Malikan a lot different from all the other carries is
What's
that he pretty much the only item that he needs to get is a Shrunken Head, and then he'll be powerful in team fights. So once he has Whispering Helm and Shrunken Head, he's powerful. And the only thing he needs against the lead team here is Shrunken Head. Like Shrunken Head is ideal in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was really what Team SolC was considering when picking Malikan, but it could very likely be impacting it. Because he's very different than, for instance, let's say a Mage Bane or a Silhouette or whatnot, because there's a lot of magic damage on the help on the Legion side, and going for a Shrunken Head early on Silhouette is not something you want to do, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So, like going for a Malikan who like thrives on the Shrunken Head, like, that's really good. I really like that pickup. I think Malikan is a great pick here.
Yeah. Also, just in general, good synergy with Wombo Combo potential. He's obviously brings this to the table as far as him pressing that R button, popping his ultimate with the possession and assisting very well in a big Tempest Hole or a Behemoth Shockwave or them combined, the Prison Break. Yeah, this is just so much team fight here on the Hellborn side. I mean, the Legion Team Who, they got some solid stuff themselves, but in a big clash, I think you would have to give it to Solaire Club. As far as how everything really comes together for their lineup. Now, a lot of it will play out in terms of who initiates first, of course, and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely a scary lineup. And like you're saying there with the Shrunken Head, now I will say, we tend to see Malikans usually go for not only the Whispering Helm, but even the Insanitarius first on top of that before a Shrunken Head. But he's setting up in a lane where it looks like he should pretty much get free farm up here. Anyway, so expecting. Good start for him. And, I was also looking at Team Who with that final pick. And Dark Lady, again, I get it. It's just a very good carry option. It's kind of the 4-1 strat they're running here. But I was really intrigued to see if they would try to make more of that aggressive either push lineup or just even more of an aggressive carry in general for the early game. Because Solaire Club did go a little bit greedy with their lineup. The Suicide Behemoth, a Tempest in the jungle. Now in this case, a hard carry themselves that wants to farm a little bit. So, I mean, do you kind of agree? Or are you fine with how Team Who ultimately drafted here with the Dark Lady in the end?
Yeah, I think it's an okay draft, to be honest. Like Dark Lady farms really well, and you do have a little bit of space to get that farm because the Hellborn side is reliant on getting some farm. I would say that it would Dark Lady has the option to farm a lot within the timing window that you have in this game. Like Behemoth needs a PK and Malikan needs a Shrunken Head, and he'll probably go in Sanitarius before getting the Shrunken Head. There's a good chance Dark Lady will actually have a good amount of time to actually get that Rune Axe and get that farm.
Yeah.
Because they're like, when you're facing Magnus, Ophelia, Bubbles, and Rhapsody, you're thinking, okay, we cannot take team fights against these guys before we have our core items. And once that hits, then we'll try to take team fights. And Dark Lady has enough time to get the Rune Axe, get some farm up. I like it. I think the Dark Lady is fine here. And also the ultimate is really good against the Behemoth, for instance, and the Tempest, because like they can't line up their spells properly once they are in the cover of darkness.
You know, this is actually a really good point, and it's definitely worth clarifying because, you know, for the sake of it's correct, frankly. Bubbles is actually the shell surf you can use while shackled. That was always one of those mechanics I was never. I know we've brought it up in the past. It's like, can he actually shell surf or not? And you know, obviously we ended up coming to the conclusion that you could, but honestly I just forgot about that. So apparently you can shell surf while shackled though. So honestly, Bubbles, if that's the case, you would think he's actually a pretty damn good pickup against a prisoner. And in this case with the match, like I said, on top of that, the take cover too. So yeah, Quincy's also here to clarify that. But yeah, no, I mean, that's worth again though reiterating and bringing up that it's he's able to do so, which I do find a little interesting that you're able to, because the ability does say you shouldn't be able to, but movement ability is well restrained, but I guess it's technically not considered a movement ability. I don't know. That's just one of those fun mechanics things that may just not make sense in terms of type out or what it says on the ability, but it still happens. Anyways, Behemoth with those boots, going to stack the Ancients. He's going to run into Ophelia, though. He's going for the rune right there. And now he's in a lot of trouble, actually. Rhapsody coming over. You see the Vagabond nuke, but, oh, he's just going to barely survive. I think one auto attack away, really, before getting picked off. So, good find right there. In the end, almost get the Bloodlust kill. But they do come up just short, as top lane Magnus also going to be heavily harassed. And actually, he may be in a lot of trouble, but he's the same story. He's going to barely survive as he gets away there. So, very, very close call. And both suicides here. Start things off.
Well done for both suicides. They're living those situations out. Both picking up boots, expecting to roam a little bit and stacking those ancients. So I like it. I think it's a fun style to play suicide. Not really relying on getting a lot of farm or levels in the lane, but just having those boots to be able to roam. It's a funny style and it's not bad. It's definitely working out. And here bottom lane, you see Dark Lady farming those 330 gold minute and Malikan with those 300. You would think that Dark Lady would go for Shrunken Head first. Oh, sorry, the Rune Axe as one of the first items after the Ghost matches, and then Sanitarius and Malikan.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, we were talking about, like, Malikan can easily farm with Thunderclaw as well. So I'm not entirely sure. But I think Sanitarius is a deal this game, because you are facing so much magical burst damage. So in Sanitarius, Mystic Vestment, Shrunken Head, I think it would be the best item build.
Okay.
What do you think?
On Malik, passing up the Whispering Helm seems like to me just an iffy option. He's a hero that really benefits with lifesteal, I think, compared to a lot, especially with that passive of his. And, you know, his inherent lifesteal that he has with the green sword. But the fact that he can stay aggressive with the blue sword and still have lifesteal is what makes it really powerful. So, yeah, I just think the traditional Whispering Helm and Sanitary Shrunken Head is honestly what we should probably see here from Malikan, if you're asking me. But Magnus, again, barely gets away with those
This is
boots.
really funny to see how these suicides staying alive with 1 HP.
Yeah.
Or like one auto attacks HP.
And again,
So,
Behemoth
it's really nice
now
to see.
going to be heavily harassed. He'll be fine, of course. But, yeah, he even got the Striders on top of that early on here.
Speaking of Chalice, there's Malikan with an early Chalice here.
Yeah. It ain't changed yet.
Ain't changed yet.
But he's definitely one of these heroes where it's not too surprising to see it on. Because any hero that has a lifesteal, obviously, built in is definitely a potential to pick up a Blood Chalice. Especially one like Malikan, who tends to use actually a decent amount of mana with that Q at least. For both farming purposes or kills.
Dark Lady has his ghost matches. You know what? Like, Dark Lady can actually kill the behemoth pretty easily if he gets in range with those Dark Blades in charge. With ghost matches, should be a possibility. It's a little bit of an issue that behemoth has the boots, but it is a possibility.
Oh, Bloodlust kill possibility here. Magnus, yep, he is going to fall. Ganondorf gets credit for the kill. Torture doing a good job of flanking right there, catching Magnus off guard, and before he could even really react. He wasn't able to Lava Surge or Steam Bath right there. Just simply gets taken out. So Malakin takes over the top farm at now, 420 gold per minute or so in that area here. Dark Lady, about 385, however. So again, both carries are getting that free farm in the end. Speaking of both teams, again, they also have the junglers that have potential to kind of come to the lane and push it in earlier on. Do you think either team, do you really want to be doing that here, you know, knowing that the lane will be pushed up for your carry, or is it still worth it, you think?
I think it's fine, to be honest. You're at the point where you can easily get assistance from Tempest, and Tempest could help you pick up the first towers, and Ophelia is at bottom lane, so either side can really start picking up towers. And back in the old days, you would always see a push coming out with the first catapult, which spawns at 5:30. It's always like, there's the 5:30 catapult spawn, which always indicates that now you want to be pushing it. Look at bottom lane, actually. Rhapsody gets hooked by the old ball and chain, and he should surely fall, and yes, he will. That was a beautiful initiate from the...
Did he have a rune? He must have had a rune to come down here, because... Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just snuck in there. I'm not sure, actually. But actually, back to the top lane, though. Magnus also once again in trouble. And he's going to be found eventually killed off. He's did a quick steam bath, hoping to destroy and get away, but obviously that wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, at least the Hellborn team right now, they not only getting a couple of kills, but they are going to be pushing this top tower very aggressively here. And thus it'll be easily done. So, Solaire Club, very good start. Now, a nice counter push in the middle lane, however, from Team Who. They get something out of it.
Look at Bubbles, look at Bubbles. Yeah. No, he missed it a little bit. Did you see that?
What's that?
Send him home. But if you shell serve as Bubbles and Ophelia sends you home, you can get a refill bubble and then still and then sneak in a shell serve.
I wonder if he was actually trying to do that or not, to be honest, because now he's going top. But
he wasn't, because he was in tower range. So
okay.
That would have been awkward if he went in tower range and then TP'd back in. But it's a nice thought. It's nice that you can do it.
Yeah.
It's one of those really cool mechanics that has a lot of potential. The same way as Dr. Pulse has potential with an Ophelia. You just charge in and then get sent back home.
That is fun, yeah. Have some interesting synergy there with some heroes that you may forget about initially, but oh yeah, that's right. They can do that. 8-minute rune coming up right here. It's for freshman bottom. Top is double damage. See who's able to possibly get that pick up there. Expect a lot of portal keys in this game. In fact, Tempest portal key has actually seemed like it's been pretty popular lately, as far as the go-to first item. Honestly, you know, we don't really see many astrolabes with Tempest. It feels like. Do you understand the logic there? Do you think that makes sense, or?
Well, it all depends on the game. It varies from game to game what item you should be going for. Sometimes it's Tablet, sometimes it's Astrolabe, sometimes it's Berry Idol. In this game, I want to say that a Berry Idol would be very, very good for the Tempest, but I don't think we don't see that a lot these days, and it's very expensive. I guess that's why, but it's a very good choice in this game against the Bubbles and the Magnus and Rhapsody. But I guess we'll be seeing an Astrolabe this game, seeing it's just against damage that's not quite bursty. You know how Magnus is not entirely burst damage. It is hard damage in a short period of time, but it's not quite burst. Neither is Bubbles. Bubbles is sort of lineup damage where you have the Kelp Field initiate. Or actually, speaking of Bubbles, look at mid lane, by the way. Torture gets initiated upon by Bubbles here with the Kelp Field, and Fisher comes out. That's a beautiful one. Well, Tempest now comes out with the ultimate on top of Ophelia, and that's going to be it. I think Ophelia's going to be falling here. That's going to be... Oh, look at that. Shelter coming out from Bubbles. Tries to get the pick off here, and he will get the pick off on Tempest. Behemoth is very low back in the background. He will fall, getting those Ophelia minions with him. That's a lot of gold for the Behemoth. And Prisoner down in trouble here. Perhaps he can almost get the kill. Will he? No! Prisoner survives with 14 HP. And Malikan now in trouble. He ported into a wrong situation and down he goes. Cannon Dwarf losing a little bit of gold right there. And it's not a good thing to die on a hard carry.
Well,
so
that...
Just lose so much momentum here.
Yeah, no, that was really unfortunate for
Malik.
Malikan there at the very end, especially. He actually was in the mid-animation of sword throwing right there to get away, but it was a nice catch by Magnus at the last second. You know, I gotta say, I thought Bubbles was making a silly play going back in right there, but he was confident in his team backup, and he was correct to be so, because we saw some pretty good fight there from Team Who, and ultimately getting the kill onto Malikan, obviously, pretty significant there in the long run. So Dark Lady, in the meantime, just farming the bottom lane while that was happening. I believe she's the only hero that actually wasn't in that fight in the long run. So that's, again, good news there for Team Who here, definitely. Jim Kiryu, it's pretty obvious, going for that early rune cleaver, of course. Wouldn't expect anything different here when it comes to that. But Malikan, yeah, he's back up. He is going to continue to farm the top lane. You do see he actually did go the Whispering Helm here. Again, keeping it pretty traditional, at least for the time being, with this build. Oh, Shockwave used by Behemoth to farm the Ancients. Not even going to be able to kill them off, really, though, even with the Shockwave. That's a little awkward. Is getting close, though, to the portal.
It's actually very... It's very common, though, seeing as Shockwave is not an ability that you really get to use at this point anyway, because you're low level and you do not have PK, you do not have a big amount of heavyweight levels anyway, so it's fine to use Shockwave to get a little bit of farm on Behemoth at this point. And actually Prison is going to allow Behemoth to get that extra farm, because now he's very much closing into the PK.
Yeah.
Top lane Malikan is chasing the illusion here, and Malikan did decide to go for the Whispering Helm. And Magnus wraps the bubbles. It looks like they're ready to try to get a gang off on Malikan.
Uh-oh.
Will they, though? Will they be able to? And there's the stun, and a bad soul throw from Malikan. Unfortunately, it wouldn't help him anyway, but it kind of just eliminated the entire chance of him getting away.
Yeah, no, he was dead anyways, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's the risk of using that sword throw aggressively, you know, to farming purposes. And obviously, he had no clue, though. He had no clue that people were nearby, thus why he does get caught in the end. And they eventually killed off. So, again, this is that 4-1 strat kicking in from Team Who. They're doing a pretty good job surrounding this Dark Lady, getting some kills and making some fights happening. And if worst case, you know, maybe even exchanges, they've killed Malikan out twice, locking him down, allowing Dark Lady a little bit more of that breathing room here and to get more of that advantage. The Rune Cleaver is getting close with that said. He has one of the broadswords, I'm pretty sure. Just needs the second one. Tempest, in the meantime, going to be found. And he'll go down. So this roam is really killing Solaire Club. And, you know, it goes back to what I was talking about with the draft. I really feel like this was a very greedy draft here from Solaire Club. And one that was going to need some farm earlier on in the game to be able to get their work done. And clearly Team Who was up for the challenge, and they're making the move on it. Portal keys, though, are starting to come up here on either side. Behemoth, in fact, has it here.
Playing really well there. Yeah. Now Behemoth just needs a few levels and some mana, and he's good to go. Surely have an impact on these team fights.
Yeah. You know, we've talked about this, though, before.
You really need to play around it.
Well, I think Behemoth, he can afford to do this. Actually, he jumps in right there with that new Portal Key. Dark Lady gets very low off the bat. She uses the Trident Strikes. Nice done from Magnus to prevent Tempest from maybe chasing. And the cover of Darkness also going to be a little bit of an issue. And actually, Tempest, he is going to Elemental Void. I was wondering if he's actually going to go for that or not. It's not up for the kill initially. It is in the end, but it used a lot of time for reaction. No support on the side of Solaire Club further, and they get the double counter kill as Bubbles comes in to assist. So, yeah, the chase right there, Elemental Void, they used it very late. It took him forever to finally decide to use it, and by the time he did, clearly Team Who was easily able to react there and get the counter kills.
Didn't the Tempest just kind of save Dark Lady by TPing, making the tower not attack the Dark Lady?
That's very possible, yeah. That is very possible. I honestly would have to look at that again, but as Bubbles making some work happen.
The Legion have destroyed a Hellborn tower.
Yeah, you got to be a little careful with that.
Take off here on Torturer. Yeah. Down goes Torturer, and meanwhile, Dark Lady is farming away. Almost having the Rune Axe now. I'm actually a little bit surprised he doesn't have it. He does have it now. There it is with the TP. And there's a triple stack on the Ancients. I think he needs someone to help him clear it. I believe Bubbles will tank it with Delusions, and he should be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Darkly takes Delusions. Fine. That's even better.
Yeah, very good timing there. In the Rune Cleaver, able to finish off some, or ideally do some triple stack games. So you see how fast just pops Dark Blades, charging strikes, and they're just dead. I mean, it took her, like, what, 8 seconds maybe? 8 to 10 seconds here to finish off really these triple stack Ancients as soon as she gets her in Cleaver. That is ridiculous. And it looks like the Abyssal Skull follow-up is going to be the case for her. So, yeah, her farm's excelling. Malakin, on the other hand, again, he's definitely fallen off a little bit because of the couple of deaths there. But you like the Abyssal Skull?
I think it's definitely fine here. You need to strike ahead at some point because of the Behemoth and the Tempest done, obviously. And the Tempest, by the way, went for the Astrolabe, which I very much like. I think that's a very good call by him. And Behemoth now going to be stacking, or Whispering Hill not going to be triple stack the Ancients. So Malkin can be clearing that. I wonder what item he'll be going for next. It will be going for the Insanitarius, so looks like it will be the build-up we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Whispering Helmets and Insanitarius, then Striking Head. Which is a fine option here. Magnus now has the PK as well. So to me it looks like Team Who can make plays happen, but they don't want to overextend into anything. They want to take team fights, so they continuously shut down and give Dark Lady breathing space to just continue to farm up. But if you're a Team Who, you don't want to like overcommit to doing anything, because you definitely do not want to give any unnecessary levels to the Behemoth, for instance.
Yeah, this is the problem, though, with the Malakin getting a portal key just with red boots. Again, he actually can't even combo yet. He doesn't have the mana pool to Eruption, Lava Surge, and portal key all in the same sequence. So, top lane Tempest, he's going to be caught here when Kelfo comes out, but Prisoner does port in. A little bit too late, apparently, unless they get something out of this. Magmus, though, nicely done using that portal key, and down it goes Torture, with just Prisoner porting in. Again, another case of Solaire Club. They're not committing. I mean, usually you would see maybe the whole team poured in and looked to fight there in that case, but only a couple of heroes did. They end up falling, and the other ones, Malakin in this case, as well as Behemoth, they're being distracted at the bottom lane. Dark Lady almost gets a kill on a Behemoth, in fact, before she eventually falls back and survives. So it doesn't feel like Solaire Club's taking the most efficient fights here, and Team Who is just snowballing over them right now. 7,400 gold lead, 7,000 experience lead. Only at 17.5 minutes in, and they're still going to keep going here at the top.
Yeah, this is definitely starting to look a little bit looking like a slippery slope for SolC. They still have the chance to come back, obviously, seeing as they do have a Malakin and a Behemoth with DK. But they need to start taking these team fights cautiously and not make plays where they do not commit enough. They need to commit entirely, or they need to like not commit at all.
Yeah.
So they don't get into those situations where you play 3 versus 4 against the draft that you can't really beat this early on. So yeah, Behemoth's desperately trying to get some levels here. I want to say that once he gets level 11, he'll start to make a real impact in these team fights. He already does, but at 11, it could really start to look like team fight if you're SolC. Sanitarius and Malakin, or look at that, actually Bubbles now being in a little bit of trouble. Sorry, Rhapsody. Bubbles tries to help out with the Kelfield. Not gonna be able to though.
But you see what's happening here, though. They committed a lot to it. Magmus stuns in as the TP is going to be canceled as well as killed off. Torture also falls. Tempest, he has an elemental void, but there is no chance. He goes down before he even had a chance to use it. They get the counter kill onto Ophelia. Malakin trying to hold his ground, but auto attacks from Bubbles. He just keeps pounding them in. He's going to have Shell Surf coming up here shortly. He does right there. He goes in. A Song of the Sea him shortly. There's the 1 second. The life steal on Malakin, though. It's keeping him alive for the time being. Look at that. With the lifesteal, that's not a battle you're going to win. Most likely, it's attacking the creeps as well. Whenever the takeover comes out, Magnus out to the side. He doesn't have mana for stun. And Malakin will survive it in the long run, as well as turn the kill on a Bubbles. Oh, boy, that is not good news for the Legion team. Especially if Malakin's able to do that. But well played there by Cannondorf in the end. Do they still want to try to go on him? I don't know about this. Okay, they do have an eruption, I guess. He's going to run in there. Zardo just barely. The lifesteal's not going to happen, so they actually do get the kill in the end, but it was close. Right there.
That was Hugo Big carrying around the regeneration rune in his Iron Stone. That was a really cool play there. Gave Magnus just enough mana to get the eruption and the stun off, and it managed to pay off for sure. Well, very well done, and a sneaky move, turning out to be a very good one.
Yeah. That was very well
Actually,
played.
now with the Fire Pan, gonna be going towards the hosting agent. No, he's just gonna jungle. Not gonna play it too risky. Now sitting at 550 gold per minute. That's starting to get scary, breaky.
Well, isn't it crazy too? Again, they've been fighting all these fights here. They're 15-9 hero kill lead, and Dark Lady's only been involved in 3 of those. She wasn't even involved in the last fight. I mean, they've been doing all this work without Dark Lady because in the meantime, she's farming the jungle. She's farming the lane. And it's showing here. So the strategy of the 4-1 strats work. And once again we go. Torture gets picked off before the rest are going to ultimately fall back. So I don't know. Team Who, they just they're connecting all cylinders this game. That's for sure. And things are looking pretty good for them. And what was that? An Ice Brand? No, nothing on the courier. I'm not sure what Dark Lady just spot, but I assume going to finish a Frostburn here. Is what we'll probably see.
It would be a good choice, but Strangenhead is also a good option, but I guess he'll go for the Frostburn first. And there's a Chose Like Ancients once again, and yeah, Malikan is just not catching up to Dark Lead at this point. 407 gold per minute. He is farming Ancients, but he's only farming single stacks, while Dark Lead is farming triples.
Yeah. Ooh, this is a big chance, though. Shockwave to opening. Dark Lady. Does she have the survivability? The Ophelia's touch, and then there's the protective melody to ultimately save the day. She puts out the cover of darkness. Gonna make the getaway. Good choice by her. As you do see Prisoner porting back to base. But the Hellborn side, they're still hanging around as if they want to maybe make a fight happen. But you can see Team Who is, oh, maybe. Ophelia's kind of running in here a little recklessly. As the minions in the front lines, Fissure starting to kind of block her off in the background. Torturer, Bubbles comes in with a flank, gets the kill on a Torturer. Another go from Malikan, but we've done this dance before, he says. As he's going to put in the auto attacks now into Bubbles and those enchanting flames. Bubbles buys an item just before, but he does eventually fall. Meanwhile, in the background, Tempest, he's being stunned down. Oh, he had an elemental void. He was thinking about using it, but it wasn't going to be enough anyways. Malikan gets the kill, but Darkly comes back in and cleans up Malikan right there. Tempest buys back, though. But with Malikan dead, I don't know about this. Don't get too crazy here. He has an elemental void, but it would just be Ophelia, and they are going to get the kill out of her. Buyback on Malikan as well. So if they can maybe get Darkly, that'd be really worth it, but they're not going to be able to. And we're just we have a lot of action, man. That's really picking up here in Game 2 now. As here comes a push.
That was 2 buybacks for an Ophelia kill and a tower, so somewhat worth it. Not entirely sure. I'd say it was okay. And look at that, Darkly now gets initiated upon here, and Staskadure, oh sorry, I'm Carry You, is gonna be finished off here. Jim Carry. Sorry. Jim Carry.
And it looks funky when you first glance at it, and realize there's a J there, but yeah, camera's gonna mess up, but nice catch there on 2. Darkly after the side and the tower kill, as you mentioned. But so I mean, the overall golden experience it is still actually pretty significant for Team Who, but especially if this translates to a Kongor kill, this is all of a sudden actually really good for Solaire Club here. And a Shrunken Head on both Malikan and even Prisoner, are going to be coming up too. So those could prove to be very powerful items for them. What do you think about that? They're not necessarily full on committing to this Kongor kill, though. Okay, well, I guess yeah, they're confident that he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
as they will. Okay,
they'll be fine. It's just another one of these scenarios where if Malikan gets a Shrunken Head, and you can somehow initiate on the Darkly without him using the Shrunken, for instance, with the Behemoth ultimate, followed up by Malikan Sword Throw, a Shrunken Head, and the Fear, then it's going to be really difficult for Team Who to actually help out. There is the Rhapsody, obviously, who has the ultimate, but is that going to be enough? That's the question. It's a little bit scary that Who once again went for an all Shrunken Head Shrunken Head, like relying on your opposing team not to have a Shrunken Head team. They have the advantage now, but what about when your opponents get Shrunkens?
Yeah.
which is soon.
Well,
I don't know. I think there's a lot of options for Team Solera Club to come back into this game, especially with that token of life now, even though the scoreboard says they are far behind.
yeah, I definitely agree there. And again, the Shrunken Head's going to be a huge item. Now, speaking of that, I was going to say, it looks like Jim Carreyrou is going to be going his own Shrunken Head as well. Yeah, now, again, for the Legion side, it's a little bit interesting with the Shrunken Head pickup because, not saying that it's not a good pickup, but, Malikan, he'll still be able to deal plenty of physical damage. You got Prisoner, where it's talking about all physical presence. And then, of course, Tempest. The Elemental Void's not necessarily going to be stopped or not going to be countered by a Shrunken Head. So, do you think it makes sense for Darkly to get the Shrunken Head here? Needing it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it would make sense, to be honest. And, well, it looks like the help on side is going to go ahead and just push the bottom lane. Gonna just counter the Legion actions by split pushing or like counter pushing, which is understandable. Like, Ophelia cannot really just TP out because she has the minions, obviously. So, if actually looks like Demons is going to be TPing back, setting up something maybe.
Yeah.
He's doing like a sneaky setup here. He's the only one who actually went back. So he can actually just jump and have his teammates jump in afterwards.
Now, he only has a level 1 shockwave, to be fair, so that's kind of unfortunate. But, yeah, you can tell Team Who, they notice that they're not necessarily really pushing anymore, so they're going to fall back before anything too crazy happens. So, yeah, that was definitely a little bit of a chance there for Solera Club, but in the end, good reaction by Team Who as they pick up on that information. And they do fall back before. Speaking of more item talk, we do got the Shrunken Head on Dark Lady, but Hellflower the choice on Bubbles. Usually it seems like the Portal Key and then the tablet would be the obvious follow-up, but what do you make of the Hellflower pickup on him?
Well, if you can silence the Shrunken Head on Malikan or silence the Behemoth even, that's something that can ruin an entire team fight. It also forces the Tempest to go towards the Shrunken Head route. Well, he would go for Shrunken Head anyway, to be honest. But I think the Hellflower is great. If Slash sees an opening to silence someone who potentially could ruin your team fight, for instance, the Behemoth or the Tempest, that's when it's useful. It's also useful to eliminate the Shrunken on the Malikan.
Yeah.
I think it's a great pickup. I really like it. I would even see a Sheep Stick afterwards would be great, and that's what he's going for, it seems like.
Yep, there you go.
Slash really making a big impact in this game. He's playing really well.
You go big, too, on Rhapsody, a Portal Key on her. That's a big item pickup, and actually they're going to jump in the middle lane right here. On it, Dark Lady is the help. We're inside, pull in with the hook. Malikan jumps in ulti form. There's the Elemental Void. It's not going to be stopped. No, it is eventually stopped. The eruption from him. No, that was just a stun, excuse me. And Dark Lady able to hold her ground. Malikan trying to finish her off, though. Will get the job done, but will it work out in the long run? Ophelia does go down. Bubble show surfs away. And so it does work out for Solera Club right there. They got the initial stun. Magnus missed the stun. That was pretty close, hoping to catch him. And Sanitary is currently not activated, but in the end, it misses. And now Malikan just goes right for the middle tower. He's like, you know what, you're going to have to buy back. Well, yeah, he needs to be careful, though. He is pretty low. He does have a token, but you obviously don't want to be just wasting it here. I'm not sure what he's really doing.
I think that's what he wants to do, actually.
Okay. How much time was on it? I actually didn't even check. Must have been pretty low.
35.
There. Okay. So it was pretty low in that case. So I guess that makes sense. But now he's going to start
it was a good choice, to be honest.
Okay. But still. Again, they got the big jump on a Dark Lady, and although she stood up time there, obviously not enough in the end. Man, Shrunken Head on Tempest is obviously going to be big too, but still a little bit of waste from that at this time. But yeah, I was talking about the Portal Key on Rhapsody. That's big.
Yeah, he had that for a while, though. That's what saved Darkly before.
Yeah.
Back at the spot where he's pretty much at right now. Hugo Big has really played big himself, so I guess you went big, I guess,
yeah.
Instead of Hugo Big. I don't know, bad joke, but I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
He went big, and there's no torture in an awkward spot right there. They do get spotted, and nothing more will happen about the team fight.
Nope. Unable to capitalize with
like
it.
Now, 1900 gold saved up on Malikan. What do you think? It's going to be a Rift Shot, or what are you thinking?
I'm gonna ask you. You're the analyst here. What do you think?
I should be. I should have the answers here. You were right about the Whispering Helm, though. I thought he was going to go inside interiors first, before with Whispering Helm and Shrunken. But I want to say that Rift Shots could be great in this game, especially with that amount of life steal and being able to one-shot heroes like by occasion, one-shot heroes like Rhapsody or the Bubbles would be great, especially seeing as they have very low physical armor. Rift Shots would be a great option here.
Yeah.
You could potentially go for the Symbol of Rage as well. Again, we were talking about how they do not have any burst damage or so hard lockdown. So Symbol of Rage definitely works out here.
Yeah. Soul's Bulwark also always pretty good into a full demonic. I mean, they don't really have one yet, and I guess Prisoner could be the other candidate for it in this game, but that could be another option I personally could see, but he has 2,200 gold right now as he ports back to base. Maybe he's deciding. Okay, there we go. It is going to be the Soul's route. Yeah, it's the Rift Shards, I mean, they're just raw damage, good, but I think he also realizes that, again, they're not in the lead here necessarily, and those team fight items are hard to pass up too, so.
It's true, it's true. I can't disagree with the Bulwark. I'm just thinking that Simple will also be great, but obviously a lot more expensive. So maybe he's thinking that, well, I need to have the buybacks, and this Bulwark is not that expensive. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But at least it's a good choice anyway. Prevents a little bit of damage, and Darkly also adds a little bit of damage to himself, seeing as he applies minus armor in team fights. And also, like, it also helps the prison a little bit. I'm not sure if you would switch it around in team fights.
Oh, what's that? To defensive?
Yeah, because like when you initiate and you know there's a lot of damage incoming, you put it to defensive, and then once you have that shrunken to applied and the ultimate popping, then you can switch it to defensive or offensive.
This Legion team, though, they don't scream physical to me. I mean, really, you got Dark Hoodie, of course, but other than that, it's all magic damage. So I think just keeping it offensive probably is going to get you the best benefit, personally. Because the dangerous thing about that is also, like, it does have that 10-second cooldown. So if you happen to, like, switch it to defensive and then the fight breaks out, then you're losing out on some damage output. And it's possible. It's not out of the question, definitely. And I do honestly, I don't really notice that a whole lot, and because I'm not clicked on the hero constantly checking to see if they're changing the Soul's Bulwark left and right. But that is something that you could definitely do, though. I mean, going into a fight and a certain point, and I'm sure players do that, but. Just me being lazy and all, I would just keep it offensive as far as minus armor.
Well, yeah, I can't disagree with you too much. I mean, it's also another thing to activate in team fights, and maybe it's a little bit clunky to have that many activation tools, but
that's true.
I don't know. It's possible at least. It's something that you can adjust, like just how you adjust the life assist and the enchanted flames. Looks like the defense side is going to be trying to work towards the middle river here, or the bottom river. What are they really trying to accomplish by walking backwards and forwards here? Darkly is far away, so if a team fight were to be initiated upon Team Who right now, that would be grim.
Yeah. It's what they have been doing for most of this game, to be fair. Again, that kind of that 4-1 strat. But I do agree that we are getting to the point, though, however, where it's become a little more risky now to do that. We're at the stage of the game where there's not a whole lot of vision on the map. I mean, sure, that there's a couple aggressive wards down here from Team Who, but the likelihood of Solaire Club being 5 is pretty possible because of how they're kind of forced to play a little more defensive-minded. So, yeah, you don't want to get caught out without your Dark Lady. That could be devastating. But as we say that, Dark Lady now joins them in the middle lane. She has 4,300 gold saved up, by the way. So, obviously, she has so many options here. Wingbow would be one that sticks out to me off the top of my head. The Savage Maze possibility of Malikan's pretty much non-existent here, at least in the near future. So, you agree?
Yeah, I can only agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Wingbow would be great here. He does go towards the Congo right now, and if he can pick up a Token of Life, then the game will start to look really grim for the Hellborn side. So they need to make something happen here. They realize that the opponents are at the Congo pit, I believe. They do have a ward scouting out the Ophelia minions, but is that enough to indicate it? I do believe they have a good idea at least.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely in the area. That's an illusion there. Oop, Cover of Darkness comes out. It's a couple of heroes. Magma stuns in, actually. Catches both Torture and Malakin. Sheepstick on Malakin. Torture dead. Dark Lady's still on Conqueror, though. Was it still? There was! Prisoner takes a token of life right there, and this is a chance for Solar Club right now. Dark Lady holding her ground, but Malikan jumps in, puts in the auto attacks. Prisoner going to be coming right back up. Dark Lady will go down there, protect him out. It was just a little bit too late. Bubbles joins the fight, but Malikan still standing strong. The Elemental 4, that's not going to be stopped either. Magnus gets caught in it. Bubbles in there as well. He's able to get the take cover off at least. They do get the kill on a Malikan. And Dark Lady bought back, by the way. She's coming back in. Eruption channel by Magnus. He jumps in. And down goes Tempest. Down goes Prisoner. A genocide for Team Who, despite the great start for Solar Club. Some way, somehow, Team Who ends up on top. What did you notice there that actually caught them to end up on top?
Beautiful team fight by Team SolC there. That was just so good, so well executed by Solar Club. Prisoner stealing a token. The Elemental Void was huge. Malikan pumping out damage to all sides. And Behemoth interrupting all the damage incoming. Oh my goodness, that was incredible. There's the buybacks. Actually, you take over, Breaky.
Yeah, they get the stun on the Magnus here. He's a little too far up. They dove pretty heavily. Now, of course, more buybacks used from the Hellborn side. I don't know if they're actually going to get any kills out of this. Bubbles has to take cover. He's going to portal key, maybe chase in to stop. It's not in time, and he is able to shell surf away. So all those buybacks used, and they don't get a single damn kill out of it. Now they do save the Bear Axe, of course, but all of a sudden they're leading now 22,000 gold lead, 24,000 experience lead. That's just crazy. But again, I go back to, and I have the replay. I'll pull it up in a second. But how did Who win that fight? I don't get that.
They pretty much just outlasted SolC, Solar Club, and it pretty much just came down to them having such a gold lead, and the Rhapsody constantly popping out heals, the Astrolabe, the ultimate from Ophelia. It was just the constant stunning from Magnus. It was just really hard getting enough damage out there to kill the entire team. And actually Bubbles also picked up a Sheepstick. I'm not sure if that actually came into play in the team fight. But he did pick up the Sheepstick just before the team fight actually happened.
Oh, yeah. He actually sheeped Malikan to initiate that fight in the first place, kind of distracting them while Conqueror was still being finished. So he definitely used it there. And you know what? I had the replay up right there, so I got a little more information. And the biggest thing that I noticed was near the very end when the Elemental Void came out, Malikan he was actually spending 2 or 3 auto attacks on the Bubbles illusion, which wasn't even near anyone else. So he took a little bit of time killing that off and not realizing. And then by the time he went into the Elemental Void, he actually ported on top of the Elemental Void. And then he got stunned immediately because it just ended right there by Magnus, and he died shortly after. So he went a little too ballsy with his positioning, I think, in that fight. And that definitely cost them, obviously, a lot of their damage output at that time, when that was the key moment right there. So definitely well played by Bubbles and Magnus especially. But, yeah, some positioning mistakes no doubt being made by Solar Club at the same time, despite the fight starting so well for them, including the token steal. So now they have even a bigger lead to deal with here. The wing bow still coming for Dark Lady, but he has a snake bracelet already. Might as well get that evasion aspect kicking in for the time being, I guess. Not having a Shrunken on Tempest is definitely hurting you, too. On Solar Club, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, the evasion coming out from the Snake Breakers is still 25%, so it's still something. It's every 4th attack from the Malikan, who doesn't and will never have a Savage Mace. He could easily get picked off here. He's all by himself, and this should be a definite kill by Dark Lady.
Well, they found Magnus in the meantime by himself, and they get him killed. But yeah, now Torture. But they know support's coming, so they need to get this kill quickly. They do, but here's Behemoth, as we're talking about. There's the Elemental Void. The cover of darkness comes out, but they're going to follow this up big time. Both Rhapsody. Wait, Rhapsody got ported back. Beautiful play by Ophelia right there. So she dies, but at least Rhapsody stays alive. Elemental Void is on cooldown now, so actually, I mean, that was not the biggest necessarily from Solar Club. However, Magnus is going to remain dead, I'll say that.
It's still something, and you gotta take every single opportunity that you have at this point. They're gonna try to get the tower here. That's gonna be pretty good, actually. Giving them a little bit more gold to deal with, or to play with, I guess is the right term. And perhaps they're now gonna be maybe trying to initiate with that PK. No, he decided not to. Could have went for the PK stun, but decided not to.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit over ballsy, I guess.
being safe with that.
Behemoth now almost level 16 here. He's
Yeah.
starting to really deal some damage though. He has 9% of all the damage done by the Hellborn team. But obviously Malikan sitting on that front, 17%.
I wonder also, I would love to see Behemoth here get just like a spell shards, man, just amplify that damage a little bit more. While hitting level 16, he's getting close to that. I mean, he's sitting on 2,200 gold actually, so maybe that is going to be happening from Behemoth here. Wouldn't be too surprised. Could you see that possibly coming out? Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's not a bad idea, to be honest, Brecky. It would make somewhat sense.
All right.
And, looks like we're just gonna be seeing the continuous pushing coming out now from Team Who. They're just looking for a pick-off, which will lead to them. Actually, that's the Slayer coming out from Malikan.
Huh.
So whether it's gonna be a YOLO Doombringer, or it's gonna be a Savage Mace, maybe we'll never get to see.
Oh.
Anyway, there's the initiate. You take over, Brecky.
That's big. Behemoth gets caught in the background now. He has a buyback. He already used it, in fact. Prisoner jumps in. Remember, they do not have an element of void here. That's the biggest deal. Behemoth does jump in with a shockwave, but a lot of shrinking heads were up, including Dark Hoodie. She stays well alive as Torture is picked off in the background. Look at Bubbles continuing to do work. Dark Hoodie jumps in. Malikan, though, he pops his ultimate in the possession here. Going to put the fear on Dark Hoodie, but now Malikan, he's taking a lot of damage himself. He ends up going down. He does not have a buyback now. This could be it, in fact, in favor of Team Who. It looks like it is. Game 2 going to Team Who. And thus we are tied now at 1 game apiece here in this best of 5 series between Team Who and Solaire Club. So a good fight there by Who, and really just had control for pretty much all of that game, man. And it did not stop once they got the lead. So final thoughts on the game 2 here, FJ.
Oh, to me, it came down to the Dark Lady just farming those 600 gold per minute, whilst Malikan was farming 400. And Team SolC was constantly on the bricks of being like they were scared. They were literally just shaking their pants all game because they know that there's a Magnus, there's a Bubbles, there's a Raptor, there's a Freya who's constantly walking as ball players, while Dark Lady is just farming ahead. And no matter how they twisted and turned those team fights, they just kind of couldn't get the grasp of dealing with the Legion side. So I'm not entirely sure what really made the difference there, but I'd say that the Dark Lady constantly farming those 600 gold per minute, and the fact that 4-man train coming out from Team Who really worked out. Very well played by especially Slaskadur and Yuko Big. They played really well this game.
Yeah.
In my mind, at least.
Yeah, no, definitely, again, just good team effort as well for Team Who, and forcing, well, not forcing, but more so, we go to a game 3, because, again, this is a best of 5, guys, so no matter what, at least there was going to be another game, but hey, now at least we have 2 more games coming at you, as we're going to be tied at 1 game apiece right here, so we'll see what happens.